Welcome to Buckets! Brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. My name's Matt Moore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network. I'm joined by the one, the only Joe Delera. He hosts the Cash That podcast. He is our premier feature, unbelievable bettor here at Action Network. He bets all things and does so incredibly well, especially hammering the props, hitting the escalators, hitting the ladders, hitting all sorts of upward mobility objects. No Jim Turvey this week because Jim Turvey is at a wedding for a cousin who had a fall Sunday wedding. And I just want to make sure that we are clear on this. You do not need those people in your life. Like, I just want to be very clear on that.
The thing that makes it even worse for Jim, honestly, too, it was game 2 of the WNBA finals. So it wasn't even just football Sunday. It was, we got the WNBA finals going on right now.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Unbelievable.
I know. You should have been picking radishes.
I may have gotten married in October, but it was a Saturday, by God. It was Saturday.
So you have the
I understand
anniversary.
And like, look, I got married in Austin, Texas. So it was like there was nobody around because they were all at the football game. But that was nice because it meant traffic was lighter. Just saying. Easier. People that schedule Sunday weddings in the fall are war criminals. Just putting that out there. Today's show, we're going to do how to bet MVP, most valuable player in the NBA for 2025. We do this iteration every year. If you're wondering, like, but you always do this with Brandon, do not worry. Next week is all Brandon. It's Brandon Anderson Future Palooza. I have 5 episodes of Brandon Anderson. I am telling my family that I will see them in a fortnight as I must listen to him talk for 2 hours every podcast. It will not be 2 hours every podcast, but we have a full slate of Brandon episodes coming to you next week from NBA futures analyst Brandon Anderson, including the very popular last year Bet-a-Palooza, where he bets one bet for each NBA team. We're going to do that next week as well. This week, though, we have the entire Buckets crew, and we are going to be rattling through a lot of awesome stuff this week. We're going to do MVP. We're going to do the other awards. We're going to hit on player props with Joe and Kyle Murray, who you remember from last season. He's going to be there with us. Win totals is going to be Fiddle and Fonseca with me. We're going to do an NBA championship draft on Friday with me, Sean Little, Bryan Fonseca, and Brandon Kravitz. And we're going to do a championship odds draft. You can bet Eastern Conference, Western Conference, or title. We're going to do all of those on Friday. Next week is Brandon. We're going to do best bets. I'm going to figure out somewhere in there, we're going to jam in a long shots because my sickos must have the opportunity to do the long shot bets. So that will be available for you. I have tons of content coming for you. It'll be in the Action Network app. Sign up for the pro subscription. Do that right now. Pod 20, use that code. Sign up for Action Pro. You're going to get instant announcements on the picks from Joe Delera, from Jim Turvey, from Brandon Anderson, from all of our guys, Michael Fiddle, all those. Make sure to check those out. Download the Action Network app and sign up for Action Pro. Give us a like and a subscribe over at youtube.com/The Action Network. I also want to let you know, and I think I'm going to try and get this going for tomorrow night. No promises, so go subscribe. I will try and let people know. We're doing Buckets live this year. Like, fuck it. We're doing it live. And we are. So I think that's probably starting this week. I think it's probably starting later in the week, but I got to get the graphics figured out. But we're going to be going live. I will promise you that by the time that we get to the opening of the regular season, we are definitely going live for Buckets. So you'll be able to join the show. You'll be able to know when it's coming out so you can get those numbers instantly. When they get bet, talk about them, give us your feedback, all of that. Appreciate you guys being part of our community here at Buckets. All right, let's do this, Joe. Brandon usually goes through like a list of like 700 things that he's got narrowed down on MVP. And I do think that primarily, I think we can hit the highlights here. I think it's pretty basic. You got to win a ton of games. You have to win a ton of games. There are outliers, certainly, like Russell Westbrook and Nikola Jokic that won when they did not secure a top 3 seed. Historically, you're going to need a top 3 seed in order to win MVP. Like most years, it's got to be a top 3 seed. You're going to need to win north of 50 games. You're going to need to have a great statistical profile, and it better have the backing of the underlying metrics, not because the metrics are what the voters look at, though some of them do, right? Like there are voters that are analytically based, and they're going to be influenced by BPM, EPM, the Vorps and Schmorps. Like those things are going to influence them. But more, it's that those metrics tend to reflect who the best players in the league are because they've been altered, adjusted, etc., RAPM, etc., real adjusted plus minus, they've been adjusted to better reflect who is great in the NBA. And the last one, and I think this one's important, is the age thing. You can't win it too young. You can't win it too old. The last person to win MVP over the age of 29 was Steve Nash in 2006. It has been 20 years since someone won over the age at 30 or older. The last person to win at 29 was Kobe Bryant in 2008. We have had several winners at age 28, including LeBron in 2013, Russell Westbrook in 2017, Joel Embiid in 2023, and Nikola Jokic in 2024. 28's fine. If you're wondering, like, is there a hard number on this? No, because we're going to talk about that in a second with one Mr. Joker. It's not a hard rule, but I do think that there is a matter of, at that point, you have enough miles on you that there is a natural slowdown to your endurance, and you have to start managing it. Mm-hmm. And that, to me, is the biggest thing here. It's not like you're not as good over the age of 30. That's actually, I think, less true. I think most of the guys over 30 that are in their prime, 30, 31, 32, that's where it's like, you have combined still having your youth with having an understanding mastery of your game and the team game to be the best version of yourself. I think that's definitely true. But to win MVP, you have to put in the games, the minutes, and the production. All of those things have to be in line. And you reach a point, I think, at age 30, after you've made all this money, it no longer seems as important for you to go out and bust the Wizards for 45, 15, and 12. It's no longer as important to you. Those are my thoughts on the age thing, Joe, because I know that for you, there is a big question here of whether the best bet is Nikola Jokic or Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. As a setup for the episode, I asked Joe to provide one favorite bet, under 5 to 1, one medium range bet, 5 to 20, and then one long shot bet over 20 to 1. So we're going to talk about those. But Joe, I know that you're really resistant to the idea that Nikola Jokic at age 30 is now no longer a great bet for MVP.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the team got better too. I like the trades that they made and the acquisitions they made in the offseason. I like bringing in Cam Johnson. I like bringing in Bruce Brown. And as good as I think Michael Porter Jr. fit like what they did really well, but this I think diversifies some of the talent, and I think that helps Denver in terms of their ceiling from a record perspective. So that's part of where I'm coming from here too as well. The concern that I really have here is this, that Jokic has been so incredibly good over the past really like 5-6 years that Shai won his last year. And now that Shai also has one, it's not like, oh, well, you know, Shai doesn't have one. Jokic has all these MVPs. You know, I don't think there's as much voter fatigue in that type of way. The other thing is, I do think that as we've kind of seen over the past, I don't know, maybe 10 years or so, we're starting to see players play a little bit longer, and they're still effective. So I do wonder if maybe that top kind of tier on these MVP awards, where we're saying once you're hitting 30, like you're a little bit too old. I do wonder if maybe there's going to be a little bit of a swing to that, especially because Jokic always pops in all of the analytics, all of the, you know, kind of advanced stats as well. So that's one thing for me. But I also think that it could just be a situation where they go, yeah, man, like Jokic is still so good. Like, look at what he's doing with, you know, Bruce Brown's incredible again. Cam Johnson took like another step forward. And I'm wondering if that's something that, you know, Jokic can kind of bring to the table. On the flip side, though, you know, you've obviously got Shai, who kind of fits all this criteria, just won MVP last year. Incredible season last year overall. And he also is like a stats and analytics darling, you know, in all of these advanced metrics. He also is kind of rivaling Jokic, which is a little bit shocking in a way. He's one of the first players we've seen in the past, say, like 5 years really come close to Jokic besides Joel Embiid when he's healthy. So definitely something that I thought was popping, and it was interesting to me.
Okay, so I've been at Nuggets training camp. I was at Nuggets training camp all last week, and not all of last week. I popped out there for a few days. A couple of things I will tell you. I had to word this very carefully. Nikola Jokic is not in the best shape of his life. That doesn't mean that he's in terrible shape. It doesn't mean that he's in awful shape. It doesn't mean that he's fat. It just means I've seen him look better. Okay? He took a lot of time off. He played in Eurobasket, which means less time for him to work on like conditioning purely. And this coming to camp, I think he's at a point in his career where he's going to work himself into shape, which is what most guys do, except for Luka Doncic, who somehow plays himself out of shape. But like Joker is coming into camp, I think a little bit fatigued, a little bit. His like I saw him in scrimmage, and he was a little bit gassed at the end of the scrimmage with Jonas Valanciunas kind of beating him up the floor. Again, this is like he's not going to put any sort of like real effort into this. In the first preseason game, his defensive effort was pitiful, and he just didn't look great because he still had like 14, 5 and 6 in like 19 minutes. Ridiculous. But that's kind of the point, is like Joker can do all of these things and not really have to stress himself. Like it's about how can he produce and have the impact necessary for them to get through the regular season so he can do the thing in the playoffs. And there's two kind of ways to think about this. To me, there's the idea that Cam Johnson and an improved starting unit, which it should be, will mean better weapons around him. But that also means that, like, I will tell you this concretely. Joker did not enjoy last season. He had what might have been the best offensive season in NBA history, did not win MVP, and was miserable the whole fucking time.
Yeah.
So he is, I think, excited to not have to carry the load. They want better distribution. They want a better season from Jamal Murray. They want a healthier season from Aaron Gordon. They want Cam Johnson to carry more of the scoring load. Jamal Murray said, I wouldn't be surprised if Cam Johnson leads us in scoring a lot of nights. Yeah. Now, that's going to take a while. Like, Cam was a little bit lost in that first preseason game, and I wasn't surprised. Cam is like, they have Bruce Brown back, Tim Hardaway Jr. brand new, Jonas Valanciunas brand new. They are going to be like, it will take them that first month for them to get clicking. And then I think in the mid-season, they're going to kill teams.
Yeah.
But I also think that means that they might not be a 56-win juggernaut. And if you combine better balance, and this is another huge thing, their goal, we'll see if they can do it, their goal, they've said it, is like one of the problems that we didn't blow anybody out last year. We let off. We tried to manage these things. And what wound up happening is like every single game, we're in variance mode and we're having to play 38 minutes. Like they are going into the season with the intent of blowing out teams more. They want to get to a point where Joker gets to sit down at some point, which all of those things impact the production metrics. So this is like, he's going to be in the MVP combo. He's going to finish top 5. I can't say it's a bad bet, but these are the reasons why I'm a little skeptical of Joker for MVP.
Yeah, and I think I'm there with you overall too. Like I think the team is going to be better, but he played almost 37 minutes a game last season. That's the highest number he's played in his entire career. Like you're kind of saying, we think that maybe there's going to be a little bit of a step back. I can totally see that. I think that it's going to be a tougher situation for him to kind of keep that up. Like you were saying, he's getting a little bit older. He's going to be 30 years old during this season. And I guess he'll actually probably turn 31 during the season, I guess, right? So, so either way, I do think that this is a tougher spot to back Jokic. There might be an opportunity to buy him later on in the season, and that's kind of more where I would be looking. But for me, if I'm picking a favorite right now, I would want Shai. I think it was kind of crazy over the summer. There was, I think, a 4-1 for Shai. I think it got up as high as, I think there might have been a 4.5-1. I'm checking your futures log here. I think the highest maybe was plus 425 for Shai over the summer. Now I think the best number that we've got is on DraftKings. We have Shai at plus 250, and I still think that's the bet. There are so many paths for this team to just continue to be an absolute monster in the regular season. And if you just know that you're basically locked into at least, say, the 2 seed in the Western Conference, Shai is going to be all over it. His minutes rotation, I think, is great. I think it's very conducive to being able to put up those big numbers that still pop in the stat sheet without playing in the fourth quarter. And we saw that a lot with Shai because his rotation is basically the entire third quarter. And then he sits to start the fourth. A lot of times he either is then coming in to kind of win the game because the game got a little bit closer, or the game's a blowout and he already probably put up 30 points and through 3/4 anyway. So the stats are always just popping for Shai. The consistency is there. And the defense is also like, I don't think he's the best defender on this Thunder team, but the defense is always really good. He's looked at as a strong defender. He gets the steals, he gets the defensive stats, and the assists are also kind of up a little bit since they had gotten rid of Josh Giddey over last season. So you're seeing more than just the scoring, and he's always getting those clutch buckets. So I think that even at plus 250, it feels short for an MVP bet, but I think that later on in the season, you're going to say, why did I not bet Shai at plus 250?
Yeah. I desperately want to go the other way here. I
know
it's so here's the bind is, of course the Thunder are going to kill everybody and win 65, 70 games, and Shai's going to win back-to-back MVPs. Look at their roster. Versus, of course he didn't win MVP. He was the consensus favorite, and everyone thought they were going to win 70 games. Look at that roster. Like, yeah. That's kind of thing. I don't know of a scenario, and injury is just part of the risk of betting, right? I do not know any scenario where Shai finishes the season healthy and is not a top 3 finisher.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at MVP historically, right, you're seeing it's like the same, it's just the same names. It's just, and it's for multiple years in a row. So, I mean, the past couple have been, Shai has been in the conversation, but then it's been Jokic and Embiid when Embiid's healthy. Then it was Giannis, and then it was like Giannis and Harden, and then Harden and Westbrook, and then like Curry and Durant, and then LeBron for just forever. So that's just kind of the way it goes. And like you see multi-time winners or consecutive winners. Jokic has done it 3 out of 4 years. Giannis 2 times in a row. Curry twice in a row. LeBron twice in a row, twice. Steve Nash twice in a row. Duncan twice in a row. Obviously Michael Jordan as well. But actually, did Jordan win it? Yeah, he did win it twice in a row, but like early on in the 90s. So you do see this where guys win the award back-to-back seasons because like that is the prime time for them to win MVP. So I think, again, we're just in a great spot for Shai, and at plus 250, I think that's really the right MVP bet if you're going to be taking a favorite.
Best odds, by the way, at DraftKings. Crown is yours. Very glad to have him sponsoring us. You can get that best value right now for Shai at DraftKings plus 250. I would use it probably to bankroll long shots and see if you can get a cash out opportunity later, or maybe a lucky win. And we'll talk about those kind of guys because, even when I want to attack Shai's kind of candidacy, because like I did a deep dive on him, and honestly, I kind of came away as like, man, he's not as good of a passer as I thought he was. Yeah, man, he's not as good of a defender as I thought he was. It's just like the overall resume is so overwhelming. He's a 30 points per game scorer with 6 assists per night on a team that's going to win 65 to 70 games.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It's just hard to vote against. He is the default choice. I think him more than Jokic is the default choice. Yeah. That it's just like, okay, well, Joker did this. Yeah, but Shai won more games. Oh, well, this guy did this. Okay, but Shai scored more. Like, he's going to have a lot of built up. And one thing we do notice is there's a resistance. Like Shai probably actually should have been in consideration in 2024 more than he was, right? Yeah. Like I actually think he might have deserved it over Joker that season. But then like he breaks out the next season and then he wins it. He just needed one playoff run, and now he's through that. And now we see the opposite, which is like if you've been in the playoffs and you've won at least a couple series, you are certified. Yes. And now you can absolutely win. You don't even have to win. Joel Embiid won, and all he did was like show up and get beat.
Yeah, you just gotta be there and like not look terrible.
Yeah, yeah, you gotta not look terrible. So I cannot not bet Shai. So we're gonna make Shai an official buckets bet. Plus 250 DraftKings, best price on the board. That's an official bet of the season.
Yeah.
Now, I actually had given you like, hey, let's do like, longer than 5 to plus 1,000. Unfortunately, that list of names is extremely non-existent, as it is only Giannis Antetokounmpo is the only name that fits that category. So we're just going to kind of expand this and talk about some other guys that we think should be on this list, because I'm honestly like a little bit surprised. I understand why, because it's like, look, if it's not Shai, it's going to be Jokic. If it's not Jokic, it's going to be Shai. And if it's not either one of those guys, it's going to be Luka Doncic. Real quickly on Luka. So last season, I was like, it's either going to be Shai or Luka, and I'm betting Luka because Luka is a Laker. Or because because Luka was coming off the finals appearance. He wasn't a Laker yet. It is taking every part of me to resist betting Luka again, because now I'm in this really shitty spot, Joe, where I'm like, I really think that if he had stayed healthy, he wins last year. I think the Mavericks, if they hadn't traded him, and I think the Mavericks would have won like 55 games and been great, and Luka would have been, if he'd been healthy, and like would have been right there. Now I'm in that spot I hate, where it was a coin flip. And I do. Like, it's not like Luka was like a coin flip because he missed a bunch of games. But it was a coin flip result. He definitely could have won MVP if he'd stayed healthy. I missed. And now I'm right back at it. Because as much as it's like, well, yeah, but Shai's going to win so many more games. Yeah, but Luka plays for the Lakers. Oh, but Shai's going to have much better advanced metrics. Yeah, but Luka plays for the Lakers. And it matters. It just fucking matters. I don't know whether I need to. I don't want to miss out on like betting Luka last year and then not betting him this year and get it wrong twice. That's gonna annoy the hell out of me. What do I do here?
Bet him to be the NBA Cup MVP at like 25-1 or 30-1. Because realistically, the biggest thing with Luka has been, is he healthy? Like, what does his conditioning look like? And it seems like the conditioning is going to be good to start the season. The Lakers also, I mean, Marcus Smart, there's like the conversation about like, is he healthy? Like, is he going to play? Like, I don't know. But for the most part, the Lakers, a little bit of an older team. They are healthy to start the season. NBA Cup starts the season. Their group isn't really the toughest group. If Luka is Luka, we've seen Luka in these tournament style competitions. The dude can single-handedly beat anybody. Plus, you have LeBron, and Austin Reeves, and like this, and then obviously JJ Redick, great coach. So I think that Luka to be NBA Cup MVP is interesting, because I do think that it doesn't mean like, it obviously doesn't mean a lot in like the grand scheme of things NBA wise, but Luka also hasn't really won anything yet. Like, he's won, they advanced to the finals, but hasn't really won anything else. So I do think that that's maybe the angle to kind of take. There's a couple ways for the Lakers to get through, but Luka in any single elimination type of game, like, I'm so down to back that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out, like, do I really think this Lakers team can be good enough? Because I think they're a little underrated, because I read about this over the summer, that people are just like, yeah, but like Marcus Smart's like maybe washed, and DeAndre Ayton, everyone hates him. And it's just, my problem is I look at it and I'm like, look, they added a rim protector who can actually run pick and roll with Luka, which is what you absolutely need. You need a lob threat.
Yeah.
And they added a wing defender. These are the two things that you needed. Now, I would feel a lot better about them if they had Dorian Finney-Smith. I would feel so much better about them if they had just kept DFS. But there's probably enough shooting there. I do kind of wonder if they're ripe for an Austin Reeves trade, because I think Austin's playing great basketball. Like, this is the sell high point on Austin Reeves.
Yeah.
You sell him now, you get augmentary role players. You keep your cap relatively clean, so you can go get another guy when LeBron's $52 million comes off the cap, instead of having to transfer all of that into Austin's new deal. You sell high on him, on a guy that you probably can't win a championship with him next to Luka defensively. That's too much to compensate for on the perimeter.
Yeah.
Like, there's all these, they're probably not going to do it. They're just going to pay him. But if they got to that point, I think that'd be an excellent outcome for them. I can see a world where the Lakers drastically outperform expectations. The problem is just like, man, they can do that, and Shai could still win MVP if he just does what he did last year, and the Thunder win 65 games. It's just going to be very hard to be like, no matter what Luka does from a production standpoint, it's going to be like, yeah, but Shai won 65 games. He's a reigning finals MVP, won 65 games.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really, really tough. To me, I think the path maybe for Luka is, like, I think he'd have to average enough assists. Like, I think that's like the offense has to look like it's a Luka Doncic offense. And now that he didn't really have the rim runner last year with the Lakers. Dallas, even when he was with Dallas, like everybody was always hurt. So we saw his assists kind of come down. I do wonder if maybe there's a little bit of value if you want to back Luka for like either 10 dimes per game, like to average that. I'm seeing like some like 9-1s, 10-1s in the market for that. Or for him to actually lead the season in or lead the league in assists this year. Those are some big numbers there, like 27-1. Monster numbers for him to be like assist leader. I'm seeing even 18-1 as well. So I wonder if maybe that's the pivot where you'd say in order for him to really be good enough or have the stats pop enough for MVP, like you'd have to kind of do that. He's never hit 10 before really in his career. But he was close in his last or like in his closest MVP campaign, 33.9 points, 9.2 rebounds, 9.8 assists. Maybe that's the path for Luka, basically averaging close to a triple-double or at least a double-double with the dimes.
So I have the Lakers pretty highly ranked in power rating, but I've actually run numbers on my expected win totals through various points of the season, Thanksgiving, Christmas, All-Star, etc. So like Thanksgiving, right? Let's give them a month of play. I've got the Lakers being sixth around Thanksgiving because of their schedule. But that to me is also like, hey, if they outperform that, it probably tells me that they're on track to be much better, and maybe that's a buy spot. And if not, if I still have them projected in season, I can evaluate at Thanksgiving and be like, are there underlying metrics backing up what my preseason projection is? And if they are, that's going to make Luka a really good candidate to buy low on in then. Because if they're sixth in the West, be like, all right, yeah, like Luka's there, but maybe not. So I think Luka's a wait. I think Luka is a wait and then find a better opportunity later, because Shai, if like I have the Thunder right now having 14.4 wins at Thanksgiving, by Thanksgiving that they're going to have 14.4 wins.
Yeah. It's a lot of wins early.
And at that point, and at that point it's just like, okay, well, Shai's minus 120 at that point.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And then that's when you can start betting some other people.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we're going to expand the field here, and Giannis is a no for me. He hasn't been able to win the last two seasons. There's no reason to think the Bucks are going to be at 55. I think the Bucks are actually going to surprise people, but I cannot get on. There is no scenario, even though I think Giannis was amazing last year. He was so good. Playing the number of games, if things go sideways, he could get traded. That's still out there.
Yeah.
That's still a possibility. Like the fact that the owner was like, yeah, we had a great sit down with Giannis where he reaffirmed wanting to be in Milwaukee, and they asked Giannis, and he was like, I don't really remember that meeting. Not great, Bob. That's not good.
If like we've never seen it before, right? Like there's no MVP candidates that get traded in the middle of the season,
right?
But like, I mean, had Luka not gotten hurt or not been hurt, maybe. If Giannis got traded, like let's say hypothetically, Giannis gets traded to a legitimate contender, like a top team in the league, I think that he would be the type of player with that narrative around it that he could win MVP. But like I feel like you can't even bet it. Like the number's insane. Like plus 950 on like a hope and a prayer is nuts. You can't do that.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about the guy that I think I already bet this over the summer. If I will probably add after I saw one video clip, clip from a scrimmage where
we all saw it.
Victor Wembanyama in transition shoulders past a guy and bumps him back and scores. I just needed to see that he'd had enough strength to be able to do that, because last year, legitimately, when he did that, guys just stood there and were like, "Cool." You're with me that Victor is probably the bet.
Yeah, I think it's 18-1. Victor to win MVP is, to me, the question is really, are the Spurs going to be good enough? But also at the same time, I'm not as worried about that part of it, specifically because of like the obsession with trying to get him Defensive Player of the Year. So we've already seen voters basically say, we don't give a shit. He's incredible. Like we just do not care. So I think that the defensive numbers for him in particular are going to pop way more than everybody else at the top of this board. Like he's a legitimate Defensive Player of the Year candidate on a perennial basis. And those numbers are going to just totally stack up. If he can score and this Spurs team wins, say, like 50 games or something like that, I could totally see him winning this award. 18-1. It might be like the last time we really see an 18-1 for Victor. I think that maybe moving forward, when the team is a little bit maybe more cohesive or whatever, we probably don't see that. I don't know if he can get there, but I do think that he's probably going to be in the like top 5 as long as he remains healthy.
So last year, I was skeptical of it with Brandon Anderson, and we had a dinner bet on who would finish higher last season, Tatum or Wembanyama, and Tatum finished higher, so I won that one because Victor got a blood clot. Like, that's why I won that.
Yeah.
I've been very patient. If you listen to the podcast in the past, I've been very much like, you don't want to be too early on Victor. Like, you don't want to be too early on him. And now I'm at the point of just being like, because his impact was so high last season, like he legitimately breaks all of the rules. He breaks every rule about being too young. My one hesitation is, like, I have the Spurs power rated for 40.2 wins. When I adjust it for schedule, because they play in that death gauntlet out west, it's 38. Like, I'm at 38 wins.
It's tough. Yeah.
They did not get better over the summer. Like, losing Chris Paul, adding Dylan Harper, who's injured. Their entire point guard cast is hurt right now.
Yeah, De'Aaron Fox isn't going to start the season, is what they're saying too. So
I do not like their wings. I want them to move on from Keldon Johnson and Devin Vassell. I do not think those guys are good enough for whether they need to be. Maybe they make a jump. Like, adding Luke Cornett is not enough to get me to where I'm like, ooh, baby, let's go. So that's like the one hesitation, but he breaks every single rule. And if they get a little bit of internal development and they can just figure out a way to scheme the defense to where they're, Houston-esque last year, where it's like the offense is real shaky, but God, the defense, that's probably enough to get him in the conversation because he's just wildly impactful.
Yes. I 100% agree. And I mean, I think that the defense is definitely going to be good enough, at least from Victor individually. I do think that having a full off season or like a full season to kind of game plan with De'Aaron Fox and Wembanyama probably helps. I don't like that Fox isn't going to start the season. I think that really helped their floor. I think it helps their creation. He's a guy that can obviously score on his own, doesn't need anybody else to set him up. But there are a couple plays that I liked for this, like, in order to kind of tackle this angle without necessarily, if you said, I don't know, like, I'm not sold that he can win MVP. 2 bets that I liked were on DraftKings. They have the team specials. I'm obsessed with the team specials, as you guys all know. But there's Victor to average 25 points a game and the Spurs to win 50 regular season games at 4-1. I think that is like the path towards how he would become eligible for MVP. And then the other one that I really like, it's not in every state, admittedly. But if you can bet on to be named a first team All-NBA, Victor's plus 220. I love that bet. That's probably one of my favorite bets and favorite ways to back Victor. I think that he has a natural path into that. He's not looked at, in my opinion, from like when people are talking about a lot of times the defensive player of the year, like we've had, obviously Rudy has won a ton of them. You had the year that Marcus Smart won, like you have the year or whoever won last year. But you have the situation where a lot of these guys that are in the candidacy for DPOY are not really looked at anywhere else besides their defensive prowess, or so to speak. For me, I think that Wemby's case and his candidacy for DPOY helps him with these All-NBA awards where they're saying, he's doing this offensively and the defense is insane too. So I think at plus 220, it's a great bet, specifically because this year too, one of the guys that's always first team All-NBA, Jason Tatum, hurt, not going to be on this board. So you're taking away a spot where you'd normally say, like, this one's just automatically going to him. Tatum never misses games. He basically plays the entire season. He's incredible. He's always just in that group of guys that's just like a tier down from the real MVP candidates. Yeah. But it's also just now there's an open spot. So you have, for that award in particular, you have Shai, Jokic, Giannis, and Luka are all minus 500 or greater. And then Victor's next at plus 220. There's nobody else in between that. And I don't think it's crazy to envision a scenario where one of those four misses enough games that they're not even eligible for All NBA first team. So I think that Victor's got a clear path into that. And people want to vote for him for anything. So I like this at plus 220, where they might say, well, team's not really good enough. Maybe he doesn't stack up in the same way to Shai or Jokic or maybe even Luka, but he's absolutely first team All NBA.
That's great. I also appreciate you taking my How to Bet MVP 2025 and making it into How to Bet All NBA 2025. It's very Joe.
Had to do it. Sorry.
All right, but I think it's a really good cap, and you're right. And I'm going to bet that. Okay. So when we get into the long shots here, this is not an award for long shots. It's never been one. You can hit them. Jokic was one when he won. There are other guys that come out of nowhere and have won the award. It's possible. I do think there's some value to be found here for the outlier. And what it kind of looks like is like Shai misses the 65 game mark. Jokic coasts a little bit. Like they get better production. The Nuggets are a little bit more balanced, and he doesn't put up ridiculous numbers. He's still the best player in the world, but doesn't have the candidacy. He might miss enough games too. I think he should. I think he should legitimately be like, I don't need to. Like, it's a pride thing with Joker, so that is cautious. Giannis can't because he can't play enough games. And then that's where this really kind of opens up. Because if you're like me and you're like, I don't know if Shai's gonna win or if the Spurs are gonna win enough games, this gets really interesting. What is a name that you have that is a longer shot at 50-1 or greater that you think has value?
Yeah, I mean, in order for me to make this and continue to make this a Knicks podcast, Jalen Brunson is 50-1, and make sure you shop this number. There's the 50-1. There's 50-1 on DraftKings right now. I think that it's not a likely bet to hit, like obviously, but I do think that when we look at the status of the Eastern Conference, there is a clear void with the way Boston, kind of sold off Porzingis. They moved they didn't re-sign certain pieces like Al Horford. Tatum's out. Presumably for the year, but maybe not for the year. We'll see. But either way, he's going to be missing a large swath of the season. There's a pretty big void in the Eastern Conference, and I don't think it's going to come from the Cavs where you get an MVP candidate, because we already kind of seen it where Donovan Mitchell takes a step back. Everybody kind of spreads the load a little bit more evenly there between Mitchell, Garland, Mobley, Allen, etc. So they've also added some bench depth pieces there as well. But Brunson, you have this story of the guy that took a discount to play in New York, to stay with this team, keep this team together, new coach. They've got continuity, and they're pretty healthy right now going into the season outside of Josh Hart's finger, which may be for the better anyway. Get him some rest to start the year. But Brunson is a guy who puts up the numbers. He's from New York. The Knicks presumably will be a top team in the Eastern Conference. And I think that the name is just going to be there. He's a clutch player. We see him hitting these game-winning shots. You see him with the ball in his hands late in games. He's making the highlights. He's going to be on national television a lot. Those things kind of matter if everything else kind of falls down around him in the league. I think it has to be like a perfect situation for him to win. But I think that there could be enough media push for Jalen Brunson to win the award if some of these other players kind of fall out or falter as the year progresses.
Okay. I'm trying to be my new self with this. Because if I don't overcomplicate it, which is what I love to do, if I don't overthink it, it's just, hey, number one seed in the East is going to be Cavs or Knicks, we think. It's possible somebody comes out. I'll talk about the teams I think could not do that. If the Cavs they've already got Strus and Garland on the shelf. If they get hit with one more rotation injury, it gets dire. Yeah. And that allows an opportunity for the Knicks to run away with the Eastern Conference 1 seed. If they finish with 55 to 60 wins, and Shai doesn't qualify for whatever reason, and you have Joker who has won 3 of these damn things, and they're really tired of giving it to him, and all the things that we talked about with the age 30 and all that, the default is just like, who's the best player on the 59 win New York Knicks? Oh, it's Jalen Brunson. Let's give it to Brunson.
Yeah.
My issue is that for much of the first half of the year, when they looked awesome, Cat was their best player. And I think they have a lot of, like, one of the reasons I am resistant to betting on the Knicks this year in futures markets, and like they could absolutely win a shit ton of games and go over their win total and win the East and do what they can definitely do that. They are good enough to do that. I think there's a tension point with, they started off the year and it was like Cat and Brunson. Oh my God, this is the best pick and roll combo in the league. And then they just like stopped doing that.
It was insane.
And they evolved away from it more and more. But as they did, they didn't move towards, oh, we're just moving the ball around and everybody's cooking. It just became the Jalen Brunson show, which that's to your credit. The problem is that I think that pissed everybody off. I do not think OG Anunoby wants to play in a system where his job is 3 and D.
Yeah.
I do not think that's what OG Anunoby wants. I also don't know how you can legitimately try and approach a season and be like, yeah, the best thing for us to do is just to have Karl Anthony Towns be a dude. Because you're going to give up so much on the defensive end. If you're not maximizing Cat offensively, you are minimizing his impact. You have to get the most out of Cat offensively in order to compensate for his defensive liabilities, especially next to Brunson.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that looks like. Like, can I see Jalen Brunson averaging 12 assists? No, he's not that type of passer. He can average, what did he average last season?
7.3.
Yeah. He can bump that up to 8.5 and have like if we round it up, it's 9. That would be a great season. That's an awesome season. Like 25-9 for a 59 win team is probably still like, hey, he's in serious consideration. But then you're going to have to put him up against the other guys where it's like, he averaged X, Y, and Z and did all this stuff. He has, I think, too much talent. This Knicks team is really talented. And putting Brunson in a position where he puts up MVP numbers, I don't think that you win enough games going Brunson ISO ball to get you there, especially when you went towards an offensive-centric coach in Mike Brown, who could still coach defense, and their defense, I think, will be okay, especially in the non-Brunson Cat minutes. But these are all reasons why I'm a little hesitant on Brunson.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of one of those where I'm just like, the team profile fits, and I think it's kind of the Tatum argument, but I think Tatum's contributions were a little bit more well-rounded, right? Especially the defense. But it's really the Tatum argument. It's just the team is the best team in this conference, and that's the best player on the team. So I think that's the way you'd have to kind of look at it, and that's the way you'd have to couch it. So like, personally, like, am I Joe Delera going to have like a couple bucks on Jalen Brunson to win MVP? Probably, but that's also because I'm a Knicks fan. So like, do I want to really recommend it as like a bet that I would put serious money on? I don't think so. I like, again, like, I think this goes right back to the top where I'm saying I think it's Shai, but I do think though, and Matt, like, you're so good with MVP. And like analyzing the market and looking at the market, I do feel like this year is one of the years where we don't have like a real true like cast of 5, or so to speak. Like, there's normally like a couple guys that you say those are the true like blue chip contenders. Then there's these other guys that are always in the conversation, or at least it like defaults to them if the top guys aren't there. And like, to me, that guy has been, for the last number of years, has been Tatum, where you go, well, if everything explodes for everybody else, Tatum is there, and nobody would really say like he didn't deserve it. You look at it and go, no, those numbers stack up. They'll look okay historically. He might be like one of the worst, quote unquote, MVPs in a number of years, but you wouldn't be embarrassed by it. Whereas if you start getting further down the list, it does feel like the numbers don't stack up the same way in a historical context. So
that brings us to the guys I like. Let's go to the other team at the top of the Eastern Conference, and this is a guy that I will just say this. If you do that silly thing that people do where you're like, do you want player A or B, or who's the best player out of these 5 guys, and you just put player A, player B, you take the names off and you just look at the numbers. the guy that really stands out as probably being underrated the most is Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
Mitchell fits into our age category by 1 year. He is going to be 29 this season. Last year in EPM, which is a very highly correlated metric to MVP finish. For example, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was number 1 in EPM last season. Nikola Jokic was number 1 in 2024. Like it has been. If you are a top 5 finisher in this, you are going to be on the ballot.
Yeah.
Most times. So Donovan had a slow start to last year when Darius came out and was lights out. He was on fire. Darius was incredible, and Donovan was happy. Donovan was like, "Hey, we're killing it. Like, I chose to resign here. Mm-hmm. I want us to all be better. Go for it." When Darius slowed down, that's when Donovan really took over. And Donovan now is in a spot where, because Darius is out, it is gonna be him and Evan Mobley or him and Jared Allen all the time, high pick and roll when he's on the floor. And Donovan puts up ridiculous numbers when you do that. Donovan's placement is incredible. He is a 3-level scorer. He's elite at the rim. He's elite from mid-range. He's elite from three-point rate. He does not bottom out in terms of his three-point rate percentage. He does all these things exceptionally well. His rim numbers, by the way, last year suffered. The biggest thing there is that he doesn't go to the rim as much because he's able to get to his floater, which doesn't count at the rim if he's not in the restricted area. Like his floater is, in my opinion, his sidewinder floater is the best in the league since Wade. It's so good.
He's been so unbelievable. Good. Yeah.
The Cavs should be a little bit better on defense this season just because I think they'll probably rebalance. They still have enough talent to withstand Garland and Strus. Again, if they lose another starter, they're in rotation guy, they're in real trouble. If DeAndre Hunter has a shoulder sprain on opening night, I'm going to be like, it's trouble. But Mitchell is good enough to put in the numbers, and the Cavs are good enough as a whole to be able to replicate last year's success, be a little bit better defensively, and put the kind of numbers up with Donovan Mitchell that put him in consideration for this award. Like, I think the Cavaliers are going to be elite again, even with the injuries. I have them as the most wins in the league at Thanksgiving because the schedule is softer. So I would like to bet Mitchell now and hopefully get like oh man, it's Mitchell and Shai at Thanksgiving, and then I can start looking at other Eastern Conference guys.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at on Donovan Mitchell, because specifically, I'll say this number is preposterously stupid. You're telling me the best player on the team that was the 1 seed last year that won over 60 games with the number 1 offense, who's going to have higher usage this season, Donovan's 100-1. What?
Yeah. I mean, I think Donovan's incredible. Like, I feel like I've had tickets on him like every year. Yeah. And then they just don't pan out. Like they just fizzle out for whatever reason. But he's just always in this conversation, and he is another guy who, you know, like if you thought, you know, like, well, he's got to be in this conversation. He is plus 230 to be first team All NBA. I actually think this is interesting because Donovan has shorter odds than Brunson to be on first team All NBA, but has longer odds to be MVP.
That's weird.
Weird.
My other guy to hit here is one that actually has gotten longer, which I'm very confused by. Cade Cunningham was 30-1 or shorter this summer in the month of August. And that one's moved to 50-1, and I have everyone is just kind of like out on Detroit. And to me, the reason I like this bet is I'm just like, look, Cade is so much better than you guys realize. He is so incredibly good, and his development curve is so sharp. Like he caught up with Ant last year, and he's on track to pass him in terms of impact and all the advanced metrics, and that's likely to happen. Duncan Robinson is not going to make the offense worse, in my opinion. Karis LeVert is not going to make the offense worse, in my opinion. They have more shape to their game. Maybe they will not shoot 45% or whatever Malik was shooting. Malik can come back if he gets cleared by all this stuff, by the way. Wouldn't be surprised if they held out that roster spot and brought him back. Cade was 90th percentile defensively in EPM and 33rd percentile. I'm sorry, that's rank. He was 33rd in offense, 90th on defense last year, but his overall net numbers, estimated wins, he was 16th. It's a little bit outside the boundary of where I want to be, but I do think I just like this Pistons team. And instead of betting outlier performances on Detroit, I think I'd rather take the odds of if the Pistons are as good as I think they can be, it's because of Cade. And so I like Cade. I like Cade at 50-1.
Yeah, I like Cade too. I think it's a great look, especially if you like Detroit to be like a top team in the Eastern Conference. So I can't talk you off of that one. I mean, numbers were great last year. 26, 9, and 6 is just nasty.
The other ones I kind of look at, you'll talk. Go ahead.
I was say I have. Well, no, you go. I was gonna say I have another long shot that I'm interested in.
No, give me the long shot.
If he's healthy, I mean, I'm obsessed with the Pelicans, every year. But Zion looks good in preseason, 100-1. He is somebody that probably can have this type of actual impact on the court where you'd say these numbers pop. I just don't think the team is going to be good enough. But it does feel tantalizing because whenever Zion is healthy and he's playing on the court, the plays are incredible, the highlights are incredible, but then you just look and you go, well, the Pelicans aren't that good.
So my thing there is I actually have a sneaky play underneath that, and it's Trey Murphy for most improved.
Yes.
Trey, what killed me was everyone freaked out over Zion's performance in that preseason game versus Melbourne.
Yeah.
And the better player was Trey Murphy didn't miss a shot his first 6 attempts.
It's been awesome. Yeah.
And he's got the big thing for me is noticing, I always look for this with guys that are entering this level of their prime. How easy is it for you to get to your spots? The first 5 years of your career is basically you figuring out what spots you need, and then the next is figuring out how to get there. Trey is getting to his spots, where it's he wants the short jumper, second block in on the paint, fading backwards. He's just money from there. He's absolute money from there. He's got so much versatility. He's able to do so many things, and they think Trey is that good. That's why they didn't blow this team up.
Mm-hmm.
Is that franchise is we think Trey Murphy is the guy because we don't know about Zion. And if you're come on, is he really going to be better than Zion Williamson? My answer is yeah, because we still have to kind of factor in what if Zion misses a month with an ankle injury, not a terrible injury, just he missed a month, and it's a heavy games month, so he winds up missing enough time to where he doesn't qualify, or he only wins 67 games versus if the Pelicans exceed every expectation that we have, and I have them projected extremely low because you have to off of last year. I can't manually bump them up enough. I'm let's give them a bump for not tanking, and let's give them a bump because these guys are healthy, and I still do all that, and it's yeah, they're still garbage. So that's a problem with all my projections is I don't think they're as bad as that number shows. But if they beat all of those expectations, I really do think that Trey Murphy could be the reason why. And him winning most improved player is a lot more likely than him breaking into an MVP ballot. I don't hate this. I don't mind the idea of Zion. I am kind of can't we get this later? Yeah.
Definitely.
There's going to be resistance, I think, to Zion because it's going to be yeah, but he's going to get hurt. Who's going to be gotta get, man, I'm betting Zion right now, Yeah. They already bet them once he showed up skinny for media day. I think is the answer.
Yeah, I don't think we need it. We don't need it right now.
Karl-Anthony Towns is 300-1.
I mean, there's definitely the path. I think the problem is honestly the rebound numbers are going to come down. Yeah. We're already kind of seeing it with Mitchell Robinson when Mitchell Robinson's playing. Obviously, the question mark with Mitchell Robinson is just, is he going to be healthy? But when he does play, Carl's stats, the rebounding stats, just fall through the floor. So I think that is going to be one where you look at it and you go, well, he's not at the, the 26 and 12 and a half. He's at, maybe even if the scoring's still there, even if he's at 25 or so, if he's at 25 and 10, it doesn't really hit the same way for this stretch 5, who's not even really a stretch 5.
We haven't talked about the Rockets. If you're going to bet them, bet Alperin at 400-1 in the market instead of KD.
Yeah.
Like, there's a very good chance that Alperen Şengün just looks like their best player, even when KD's healthy this year. You factor in KD's age and injury status, and it's just like it's not worth it to take KD. But Alperen at 400 to 1 is probably worth a look if you're high on the Rockets. I'm not there yet.
No, I can't
look for him later.
I think I can't really get there.
And then the other one that I just want to kind of mention, they're all outside the age boundary, so I can't do it. But I have the Clippers winning so many damn games. Like, I just have them winning so many games. Could you imagine if it's like, look, the Clippers beat the Thunder for the 1 seed. They finished with 63 wins.
Yeah.
Kawhi Leonard showed up 70 games. Like, what are the voters going to do?
It's possible. Like, I mean, like, when he's healthy, he's unbelievable. Like, when he plays, he's crazy. So I could totally see it. I mean, it's kind of in the same situation. It's like, if LeBron played enough games, like, do you think that LeBron could get like one more MVP in there? Like, it's not. It's just he could. If
him winning one would be one of those where it's like we all are just like, come on.
Yeah,
it's like, he doesn't have the numbers, but it's close enough to be like, if you squint, you can.
Yeah, like if he's right there, and nobody else is really there, like that's one where like he's gonna win it if it's close.
The Magic are gonna be. I haven't projected really highly, but I think their floor is really low.
Yeah.
So I'm not interested in Paolo. I also think Banchero is too young. I just don't think he's in the right age.
I think the problem is too, like, I'm not convinced that he's the best player on the team.
Well, that's the thing is, like, can you imagine Franz getting enough usage to win the award?
No, but like I think that he gets enough that like maybe Paolo doesn't, or like whatever. It's a tougher one.
Yeah. All right. Best bet, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander plus 250. It's boring, but it really is the best value on the board. I do think Donovan Mitchell at 100 to 1 is an absolute ridiculous number that you should like. That is worth betting. I cannot get there on Jalen Brunson. We both liked Victor Wembanyama 18 to 1. And I love that all NBA bet from Joe as well. That's going to do it for Buckets. We'll be back tomorrow. I'll talk about all the other awards in the NBA. We'll give you best bets for those. Make sure to leave a 5-star review. Tell us what you want us to hit on in preseason. Would like to hit your thoughts. If we are able to once we get running on live, we will send out a notification on Action Network HQ on Twitter. Appreciate you guys joining us. We'll see you guys again next time. Till then, let's get buckets.